Hi guys, welcome to the podcast, and I'm kind of excited about this one because it's an album as we hear it. None of us have got had a chance to kind of listen and form a deep opinion. This is all first listen stuff. So everybody, so this week we have myself, Andy,
hiya,
Paddy,
hey,
and Leah. Thank you for returning.
We're back.
Exactly. Missed you on the Batman.
Yeah, we should have had you on Batman, Leah, because then we could have talked for 9 hours instead of 7.
I know. Saves on the editing time, though.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
let's just keep the momentum going. There's plenty to cover.
Okay, so I'm kind of interested. Do you want to start track by track, or do you want to start by your thoughts as it was coming out? Like, what did you think when this was announced? Like, Welcome to America was the album that was going to be released.
Great place to start, Shopes. That's a good call.
Yeah.
First time we knew we were going to get an album that was a properly sequenced album, as close to as we know intended to be released and put in front of people. And I think that's funnily enough, I think a lot of the hyperbole about the Vault and posthumous releases has kind of concentrated in on that a little bit sometimes. Granted, we've had remasters and expanded editions and songs for the people and so on and so forth. But this is sort of feels a little bit like the real deal. It throws up many things that we can talk about around, is it the right thing to do? Is it not the right thing to do? If he didn't intend something to go out, should it have gone? That kind of thing, which is fascinating, and everybody has their own views. But I will be perfectly honest. I think more so after I'd heard the Welcome to America as it were a single first, I was a little bit, I'm not, do I want to hear this? Is this going to prove out some people's view that, it's not, not finished?
Yeah.
Is it sort of some ideas of like worthiness, all that kind of thing, and quality? I'm delighted to say that whilst this album isn't naturally my cup of tea necessarily stylistically from end to end, I've really, really warmed to it as a piece. There's bits of it I'm not as keen on. Some of it's stronger than others, but I do feel it's a coherent piece of work. It's a decent theme. I don't think we've had an album like it before, and I think we've had the odd tune which would fit into this album, but I've really warmed to it. I've really warmed to it. I went out with my bass player last night, and we were talking about it quite a lot, and he was, oh dude, this is the first one for a while is really, really my cup of tea. I'm like, that'll be Talent to some degree. But anyway, over to you guys. Expand, please.
Can I just like quickly jump in on that last point? I think because, and this will play out in a lot of the kind of discussions we're going to have. I think the reason your bass player might be into this album, it's because it's one of those things where it's stripped back enough where you can hear the bass, just like the guitar as a bass guitar as a prominent feature. So, but I'll give over to Leah. So, what did you think when this was announced?
I had a financial meltdown when this was launched. I've never had so much cash coming out of my bank in one go. Honestly, got completely overexcited. I was at work having a complete meltdown, like trying to go outside the classroom to pre-order. I literally ordered everything in one go. No consideration for cost, no consideration for import fees, nothing. So much so that I'm still waiting for deluxe because I just went straight for the estate. So all I have is, as you can see behind me, I know everyone's listening to this and not seeing this, but I have my HMV clear vinyl. That's all I have so far. And obviously streamed it on Spotify and things. I'm waiting for everything else. But for me, I was just so excited. for the first time in a very long time, I had that new album excitement that we all had when he was alive, that new album of what is it? Because it was a package that, as far as I'm aware, was pretty much as he intended. It wasn't, we've got the few bits added by the estate, like the tickets and all that stuff on deluxe. But as a package, it felt like something that he had put together and as it would have been, should it have been released. So I was unbelievably excited. I kind of, like Paddy, heard Welcome to America when they released that and had a bit of a dip in excitement. I hesitated a little bit, but I listened. I was kind of like, I don't want to dislike this album. I want to stay on this kind of positive train. So I listened to it again and again, and it really has warmed on me. And since listening to the album, I'm not like positive through and through. There are one or two I'm a little bit like, not keen on, but I have to say it has lived up to the expectations of it feeling cohesive, and it feels like it's been really well put together. It feels like something he would have released to me. It feels very much so packaged and ready for release. So there's a couple of gems, but I am still in that warming process, I think, of kind of understanding the album and those little riffs that you don't really acknowledge the first time you hear it, but then like an hour later that riff is going around your head again and again. I'm kind of at that stage, but I'm loving it. What about you, Andy? How are you been with it?
Well, I was pretty excited to hear we were having a quote marks a new Prince album, and it's just for the same reasons as everyone else, like an actual pretty much finished sequence project. That's exciting, and there aren't that many artists who you can just sort of go back at, once they're gone, you can just go, oh, they left this album lying around, and this album, and this project. Of course, we don't even need to talk about that. Like, we all know that about Prince, but it's amazing when the estate do just go back and just go, oh, here's something, just something coherent. And I was really excited. I haven't spent one red cent on it yet, and I may never. That's another. I don't think it's. I don't like the. I don't like rinsing the fans for the amount they're rinsing it for what we're getting. I know it's all really nice, and there's tickets and there's set lists. I know you love the set list to Chopin, and that's great. But I just from looking around on forums and Facebook and stuff, I see a lot of diehard fans for the first time saying they may hold back on this release. So when you're offering fans really great shiny stuff like this and they're not biting, maybe have a rethink. Maybe, I don't like that set should have come in at half price over here, and then maybe I'd have even thought about it. So anyway, that's I'm not going to dwell on that too much.
I think you made an interesting point, and that actually in other countries it was a lot cheaper. Like it's like 70. The same package was $70 in America, and $70 is cool for that. But 140 pounds is not. It's almost like it's getting on for $300.
It's getting silly, and when you look at the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe down to just about 50 quid above it now on Amazon, 50 quid about onto the start release price of this. I've gone boring. I don't want to talk about this stuff. I want to talk about the music, but I do think it's interesting that this was the limit for a lot of fans. They were just like, this has got to get more sensible in future. So I was excited for the album. I have listened to it probably 5 or 6 times one way or another now. I have thoughts.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about how you felt about it coming out of shops, or should we just go straight into slicing and dicing?
Yeah, initially when I heard that it was coming out, my first thought was, oh my God, finally something that isn't from the 80s. And I don't mean that, and I don't mean that in that kind of thing. I was so happy with the Sign of the Times. I was so happy with the 1999, and I was really happy with the Purple Rain as well. But it was just like that kind of, if we just mine the same 3 years, it's going to be much less variety in the posthumous releases.
Even as an 80s guy, I thoroughly agree with you, and I think in a way, just mixing into it all, I think because it's new product, I think that's one of the reasons why diehard fans for other reasons, are being careful about what they buy, because it's okay to put Sign of the Times remastered live gig video and audio and X amount of vault discs of stuff, most of which you know is good anyway, and you want to hear a pristine copy. Yeah, people.
Most of which you've had on bootleg for years as well.
Yeah, it's like going to see a tribute band. You know what you're getting, so you're more likely to go see it. There is a risk, and when it's those inflated prices, I think Andy's right. People have, because I blame you, Chopin, because your box opening was so good that made me buy it, because I had no intention, and I looked and I thought, no, I can't. But anyway, sorry, please continue.
Damn it, I want to get it. No, I said I wouldn't talk about all that stuff, and now I really want to.
But it's an important part of how enthusiastic you become. I mean,
it is. I think they need to. I think the estate and who else, all the labels and stuff, they need to be really careful about the balancing act that Prince fans hold in their mind for this stuff. For instance, I will buy vinyl from a certain period of Prince's career, and I won't collect vinyl that much post the mid-90s, say, right? But in this case, I was initially excited. My first thought was, I'm going to buy this because it's a new album, and I'd like to buy a new Prince album on vinyl. And then the prices just made me resent the whole thing. And so I like the fact that I can't get Blu-ray unless I pay, for the whole goddamn thing. I agree with you. So they've tipped the balance to make something that should have been joyous into a slightly resentful experience for me, where I'm going, what can I say?
I actually think the one thing that they could have done that would have mitigated all of this, because if you want the deluxe box set, those people are going to pay. I know, I speak from,
but they're not now. A lot of them aren't now.
I think there's still enough for them to make their money of that. But here's the thing that they could have done that made the whole thing more palatable and made people go, oh yeah, well, if those people will pay for that, is if they included the Blu-ray and the CD release like they did in Japan.
Right.
Because if that was just the same the whole world over, nobody would think that I'm being forced to pay this much to get that. Because if they wanted to see the Blu-ray, they could watch the Blu-ray. I think all these big legacy artists, the market level is found after some time, because I'm a massive Dylan fan as well. And a few years ago, Dylan's still alive, but they released giant box sets of his stuff. There's one release where it's literally every note he recorded in the studio in 1966 or something. It's 20 CDs or something. And there was a time when all of those releases were starting to isolate Dylan fans. And then over time, I feel like they get that. Enough people might buy it, Chopin, but enough people may not as well. So they start to sense the market a bit and start being a bit more sensible in the future. Especially as a lot of people, what a lot of people are looking at, like these release schedules and stuff, that these rumored release schedules at least, where they're thinking, well, okay, it's great, and if Welcome to America is the only thing they do this year, I'm glad to spend that much, but it's unlikely. There's probably going to be the rumor is Diamonds and Pearls Deluxe Edition,
right,
at Christmas, and so that's another 10, 13 disc set that they're going to buy in 6 months' time. So that, I think that affects how much. I mean, if Welcome to America was the only thing they released this year, I think some people would go a few more people would go that, but then actually they've got to factor in. Well, there's a super deluxe, and what do I want more? Welcome to America super. Welcome to America. It's super deluxe.
It still stings me when it's essentially it's 150 quid for an album and a Blu-ray, isn't it? Really? I know it's nice. I know it's lovely, but
I didn't pay that much.
I'm glad to hear it.
I don't think many people did, because actually, here's the thing. Here's how it works. Yeah, that 150 quid was the initial Amazon price, but not just Amazon. There was a few HMV. Mine, I got through HMV. Some people got through Amazon. If you pre-ordered, the thing is, if people don't buy it at that price, it comes down, and by the time you come out, you end up paying. Well, I ended up paying, I think, like 105 or something like that. Yeah.
And it
which
should
is still expensive.
And it should tell the people with the spreadsheets that if they priced a bit lower, they'd probably get more sales.
But I think it has. I think this is exactly. I
There
think
you
next
go.
time you won't find it for the same. I don't think they'll try and release the same kind of box set for the same price. I think.
Like,
I have a feeling they will learn by inches. I think it will.
Yeah.
There will be a median achieved ultimately.
Otherwise, they'll go bust.
Yeah.
But
I think it'll be fine.
There's a fine line between, you know, celebrating someone's legacy and marring it. So, like, this has. I'm not saying this is marred, but it stretches the patience of people who want something different out of Prince than what they want to try and get out of that of us. Sometimes.
Well, I mean, I can't say that I'm not part of why this was priced at this price, because I've constantly been saying, you know,
I think they've just got I think they've just got a frame. I think they've got a framed and garlanded photo of you on their wall in the office's Chopin.
But likewise, you know, like circumstances change, and maybe, you know, in another time or you know, for another release, I won't be in the position to do that. So, you know, we're all adults. Times change.
And it's all good. No one has to buy anything, but
no. This is my attitude towards it as well.
But you know, it'll find the level, as Paddy says, and maybe by inches. Shall we actually do the music? Because that's much more fun.
Yes. So I'll do track 1, Welcome to America, because like I said, like everybody else said what they thought when they first heard it. Well, I think I'm in the minority that when I got more excited when I heard this as the opening track. I had heard like an audience recording of kind of the arrangement of the song, this arrangement of the song that they did with the lights down in Los Angeles. And I was excited for this song to be released for years. So when it came out, I was expecting that kind of sound from it. I was expecting that kind of low end, you know, that low end bass kind of Jill Scott Heron, you know, kind of approach, you know, like The War Part 2. And I'm in one of those minorities where I actually thought The War was a great track. I loved listening to The War. Lyrics aside, I thought musically it was. So Welcome to America, the first track, I loved from the get-go, and I still do. It's not one it's not worn out its welcome on me. No. I don't think it will, because I knew what to expect from the track.
So I haven't told you what I think yet, so I'm gonna. I think it's all right. That doesn't surprise anyone here, does it? To me, this sets a theme for the album, apart from the so-called social commentary, which I find to be quite tired and not that inspired most of the time. Although I like the way it runs through the album. It's very cohesive in a quite uncharacteristic Prince way. He more or less sticks to the subject, but I don't think he's got that much of interest to say. A lot of it is very platitudinous. It gets about as sharp as it does get on Welcome to America. It's a bit more focused than some of the others, but it's still, to me, the other theme it sets is a lot of looking back to the past. This sounds very much to me like a kind of easy listening version of Revolution Will Not Be Televised, mixed with Make My Funk the P-Funk. And so it's instantly in debt to Gil Scott-Heron and George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic for me. And I don't find that it's got much to offer beyond that. And that's going to be a recurring criticism of the album as we go on, with some bright spots for me.
I think the thing for me with that track, because I do like it as a track, it is one that's grown on me. I think because it was released, you know, as the single, it was like the first thing we hear off the album. It's meant to be the thing that you listen to and makes you want to go, I'm buying that album. And I was expecting, like, you meant to be your hit, your one. And I heard it and was like, is that the best we're getting from the album? Is that it? So that's why I had that dip. And once I heard the album as a whole, I was like, okay, there are other standout tracks for me on this album, and tracks that I think are better than Welcome to America. I think for me, it just wasn't the one that should have been released. I know it's the title track, but it just didn't make me want to go and buy the album if I was a Minarin.
In fact, let me be a git for a moment and say that if you're listening to the radio and you hear the scream at the start of Alphabet Street or Get Off, or you hear the funk lick of Kiss, you stop everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's what a title track from Prince did in the heyday, or a lead single. And we all know that, so it's unfair. But it does fit nicely in establishing the album. It works more in context, but I don't find everything set to 5 on that for me. What stands out?
It's a great opener. It opens the album beautifully. It sets the scene. You get the vibe of what's to come. I just don't think it should have been the single.
It's funny. I'm pretty much with Andy on this, as alluded to earlier. I'm not. As the first one that came out, I don't think it was an inspired choice. I think Born to Die would have been a much better choice, to be honest. But and the other thing is as well, I'm not saying that the themes and the messages aren't clear when they do arise through the album, but I think this track is a little bit overly blunt and generic. So you just, I don't know, it feels a bit sloppy. Prince is at his best when he's doing sort of social comment, and it's kind of in through the side window with a slightly sly approach, or a comedic approach,
like The Cross.
Or let's be really unfair and compare it to Sign of the Times, the single, which is really. I mean, just on social commentary.
Yeah, go for it.
And it's completely unfair because this is a bunch of well worn out, well reheated Prince kind of grievances or sort of observations on social stuff in Welcome to America. Compare it to Sign of the Times, and you've got like Hurricane Annie ripped the ceiling off a church and killed everybody inside, and there's just no comparison. It's just back in that day, at that time, he would just hit you in the gut with it.
Well, I think the Big Disease with a Little Name was,
any line from Sign of the Times, essentially. It's straight to the gut, isn't it? I mean, you're right.
This is the thing. I like, because even stylistically, I would never compare this to, say, Sign of the Times. I mean, the one that springs to mind that is a fair comparison is something like The War. And I find this, although the musical moments in The War, there's there's more peaks and valleys, but I prefer the lyrics to this to The War.
I think you've got to remember as well, he's a different, he's a different person. He's a guy, a man of colour in his 50s who is standing up and saying something because he has a platform to do it. Yeah. That I respect completely. And there's part of me, the sort of, trying to think how to articulate it, the sort of white guilt bit. He and people have had things to think about and worry about that I can appreciate from a intellectual level, but I can't say have hit me in the same way. And I think he's sort of, it felt like he was sadder and angrier when that's what I feel is channeled through that song. In a way, so it's not. I can't. This is where the comparisons to Sign I struggle with, because I think Sign was a different thing from a younger guy looking at the world very differently.
You're absolutely right. But whenever you're looking at the world and you're making an artistic comment with it, the question is, how far do you get it over? How far do you communicate that, and how do you do it? You might do it in a different way. All I'm saying is I'm older now. I'm 47. When Sign of the Times was out, I was 14 or 13. I forget. But but Prince's later social comments don't hit me, even as I've matured. Hopefully, I've matured in life. And so as a test subject. Whereas, for example, I can think of other artists who are older and matured and found different ways to express their social comment or whatever, and it it hooks me. I just don't. Prince threw so much of this stuff at the wall in in his later career, maybe starting at places like the War Chopin. I agree.
Yeah.
That I've been listening to a lot of John Lennon in the last week as it goes. I mean, just getting into his solo catalogue a bit more, and one of the things about this Prince album is that what I really do like about it is it gives us more information about Prince and where he was at, and more snapshots to triangulate against other snapshots of Prince. And Prince and Lennon have a lot in common in many ways, and they're very conflicted and divisive characters, even with divided characters. And they both had big sort of needs to stand on a soapbox and tell the world what it needed, and that's great. Don't get me wrong, Lennon. But just thinking about how the weaker Lennon sloganeering, like for instance, "Power to the people." I'm just like, it kind of doesn't mean much. It just sounds like stuff. The weaker moments of Lennon like that sound like the weaker moments of Prince to me, where it's all kind of poster sloganeering.
I think another track that it's kind of I can compare it to is, say, Slaughterhouse, not sonically, but thematically, and the same kind of I guess we'll say the Prince's later era social commentary stuff is, I think it's, for me, it's conflicted by the fact that it's trying to have this kind of the world needs to change while clinging to very like old religions and very old very conservative old ideas of God, and mentioning things like the theocratic order, where man, woman, God, man, woman, child. And it's just like, again, of course, with anything Prince does, it's conflicted, but like I find that a lot of the social commentary I would fly and feel a lot more kind of liberated by if there wasn't just that little bit of religious conservatism. Just like this album, weirdly enough, this album a lot less, which I actually think is one of the reasons it didn't get released, actually, is that it was kind of, there's a lot of criticizing of watch out for the sinister minister and stuff like that. So and I wonder if he made this like in a kind of like in one of his conflicted moments, and that's why.
Doing a tiny bit of reading on this, didn't it take? It wasn't this album basically conceived and put together in about a week and a half? That's not a criticism. That's Prince doing his work. It was quite fast. And have I got my timeline right? Is it around? It's around the 2010 album recordings as well. I
think it's just after 2010. I think 2010's finished, and then this.
Okay. See, I don't like 2010 at all. It's one of my least favorite Prince albums. It just doesn't go anywhere for me sonically. I really dislike it. However, putting it next to Welcome to America, this is what I mean about getting more snapshots to triangulate from. Because one of the weaknesses that Prince had acknowledged himself at times was that, with why should I do that when I can do this? And he said in interviews that he sometimes didn't know what to do because he could do everything. And if you can sit down and basically record 2010 and then record Welcome to America, who are you? So it's like, and what do you want to say? So this is him trying out stuff. He can do all of it, right? But it's just, what does he want to give to the world? And I find it fascinating to put them together. This actually makes me want to go and listen to 2010 for the first time in years again, just to see why he, if you can wake up one morning and say, I'm going to make an album called 2010, and it's going to basically be sort of synthetic and romantic and sort of not really about anything and a bit dreamy, and then wake up the next week and say, I'm going to make a social commentary album. That to me is interesting, but it doesn't necessarily, it shows me Prince's problems as an artist more than his strength is his weakness sometimes.
Which is why I think no matter how good or bad the stuff that comes out is it's still worth releasing.
And I agree fully. I just want to hear more and more
if you
information.
don't like it, it tells you something about Prince. Like you say, you're getting that from it. I'm getting that there's sonic overlap between this and 2010. I don't think
I'd say very little. I'd say the only sonic overlap I could really hear was the synth lines on Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was. That's the immediate thing that springs to mind.
Those big ravey lines. Yeah. Are we going to get into this again?
Oh, I don't think we're that far away from it. I don't think we're that far.
On a slightly more breezy note, latching onto something Andy said, the thought that he got two musicians like Tal and Chris Coleman and did the album in a week and a half, a fortnight. It's like, oh my goodness, how many other NDA signed artists are there out there who spent a fortnight at Paisley Park who've recorded? I mean, you always have Dave Grohl saying, well, he turned up, we jammed, my God, he's a good bass player. I never saw him again. It's kind of like, sorry, that won't translate on a podcast.
Let the record show that Paddy tapped his nose in a meaningful way to say he thinks there might be Dave Grohl stuff out there.
Yeah, but probably not, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
I love the idea.
There's rumors of Rainbow Children too. There's sessions. Apparently, Fascination, the kick drum for that is from from Fascination. Was from a jam session. So that was a like basically that could have been an album if they produced those kind of jams. And it's like there's tons of that kind of stuff.
I mean, we there's so much stuff. We'll find out to some extent, won't we? Shall we actually go track by track now that we've dealt with number one then?
Yeah, and
because that worked a bit last time.
And I was kind of worried that Paddy was going to do one of his links and go on a lighter note, "Son of a Slave."
No,
but this is okay. So next track, "Son of a Slave Master," the running game.
Yeah, can I well, go on. I've spoken for a bit. Someone, all right, I'll go for it. This is actually my favorite track on the album.
Ooh.
I really like this one. This is a keeper for me. One of the reasons is that he's actually talking about something that we've heard him talk a lot about before. It's suddenly he's decided that, hey, hang on, I'm not finished with all the slave and record ownership stuff. 7 years after the fact, I want to pick up that thread again.
He never was.
It feels like he's stopped and gone, and another thing.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. How many bees have I got in my bonnet? Here's a good one. And but actually, I really. I can hear him singing about something that he relates to and feeling it in this one. I like that he gives the vocals over and only sits in on it here and there. It's very relaxed. It's very in the pocket. Really, really, this is one of the few songs on the albums that's got a big hook for me. And it's just that very simple four note keyboard line in the chorus. Wow, wow, wow. I really like this one. It's tight.
Leah?
Oh, I was kind of hoping you wouldn't come to me on this one.
We're going to come to you on all of them, good or bad.
Do you know what? With this one, I feel like I can't give that much input because, oh God, I can't believe I'm about to say it. Pretty much every time I've listened to the album, I've skipped.
You're allowed that. You're skipping for a reason, so that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I really try with it. I get like a minute into it and I'm just like, no, I'm ready to listen to something else now. And I press that skip button and I haven't quite figured out what it is yet.
It takes a while.
6 months' time is going to be your favorite. That's why you skip.
It probably will. It will.
It's really nicely arranged. It's really well thought out. I really like how Prince just dips in and out of letting who is it, Shelby and who else on
Liv and Alyssa.
There you go. Letting those three do their thing. Obviously all programmed by Prince to do their thing. But I really, really like the arrangement. There's loads of little bits in it. It's all held together by that chorus. I love it, really, actually.
Weirdly enough, when I listened to it the first time, I was kind of thinking of, Tic Tac Toe from Plectrum Electrum. I love that song. And to me, that's what it was. I mean, it sounded like it was the kind of same vein of songs, like you know how Prince has branches on his song tree, and like 1 + 1 + on the 3, and Erotic City are on one branch, and
this is
Purple
very
Rain Gold are on another branch, and this is on the same kind of branch as kind of Tic Tac Toe. Not entirely, like it's not like a carbon copy song, but I love it.
Yes, it's got that.
I love it.
You know what it is, Chopin? It's kind of got that very. It's like it's kind of throwaway nursery rhyme Prince style in a funny way.
For me, it's rather the other way round. It's kind of like from the claustrophobia of the sound of Welcome to America, which I love. It's like somebody opened the window.
Yeah.
And let the air in.
But that's not a million miles away from what I'm saying. It's got that sing-song quality to it. This is like tic-tac-toe with swing.
Yeah.
A swung version of it.
Paddy doesn't look that convinced.
I haven't skipped it, but I find it a little. I love the organ / synth line, because he plays it in different different sounds and stuff. But no, I find it a little bit trudgy and linear for me. It's a nice enough groove. Yes, it's a well-trodden, lyrical direction, all that kind of thing. But it doesn't. It's okay. Nothing much more than that for me.
I think it's a strong bass for me. I mean, bass with an E on it. A strong bass for a track with like lots of detail, where like Prince, they sort of say son of a, and then Prince sort of goes master, and it's sort of it all fits. It's very detailed.
Can I just say though, for first listens, I do to be clear to anybody listening to this and you guys, I lock in on the music, the instrumentation a lot more. First of all, you cannot not be aware of the fact that there is a lot of specific intention in a lot of these songs, but I don't sort of go deep or focus there first. It's more a musical thing with me, which probably brings me on to my favorite song on the track, which is the next one.
Oh, here we go.
And all that kind of thing. Born to Die, I absolutely love. This has gone into quite high up in a few of my Prince playlists. It's just, again, it's slightly slanted to something that you haven't heard from him for slightly. I love the 70s vibe, the sort of blaxploitation soundtrack, shuffle in snare. It's got a lovely hook. This is the one for me you should have put out as the first song, and I absolutely love it. It really. I could. It's like it's literally like if you're camping. There's the campfire, and you're putting your hands to warm your hands on it, and that is sonically. It does that for me. I just find it absolutely lovely from beginning to end.
There's a lovely flute. There's a lovely flute motif like that. Which is lovely, and also this is one of those times where Prince is sometimes at his best when he's proving a point, like with like at a time where people wasn't loving his stuff, when he and like fans were all saying, you're bringing out plastic production and whatever, he comes out with P-Funk, the song P-Funk, and everybody falls about over it, and it's basically Prince proving a point. And this is another one of him, by all accounts, is him proving, oh yeah, I can do Curtis Mayfield. So I think Prince is really good. Like, so it taps the competitive edge taps something in him.
I can do Curtis Mayfield, but Curtis Mayfield can't do me.
Well, that's always true. I don't like it when I hear Prince being too pastiche of someone, and I quite like Born to Die. But to me, it's so from what Mr. Hayes was saying as well, it was all based around a kind of discussion about Curtis Mayfield. That's how the track grew out, right? And to me, it's like it's too much. It's like when similar thing in the 80s, when apparently there was a discussion with Wendy and Lisa about Sly Stone, and he makes Make Your Mama Happy. And again, to me, they're just like an incredible talent with an incredible number of resources producing, just for me, I'm sorry, a pastiche.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Paddy. I feel bad.
Oh God, no, man, dude, it's fine. It does it for me. What can I say? I could see this as a double A side with Chelsea Rogers, like the 70s hit.
I don't like Chelsea Rogers.
The two different sides, 70s disco track with all bass line, and then sort of this shuffling like Curtis Mayfield-esque thing. I just love it.
To be really harsh, again, the lyrics aren't sharp enough, and when he sort of says that was when she lost her virginity, it feels misplaced in this type of song. It feels like the
only bit I don't like. That's the only bit of that song.
It's a real loss of class, isn't it? That moment.
Yeah, it was when that kind of happened. I was like, please don't say the word I think you're about to say. Yeah, you did. But it feels. Apart from that moment,
it didn't stand out for me like that word.
I don't know. It's Prince has said far worse words. Like that's very tame.
It doesn't work in the rest of that classy arrangement where he suddenly gets all coy and like puts a pause on it. Like, this is going to shock everyone.
Yeah, it just felt weird to me as well, but I actually liked the track. For me, apart from that moment, it actually felt very natural Prince. It didn't feel too much like he was trying to prove a point to me. It felt like he just sat down, jammed, and this kind of came out. It felt very organic. It's not like my standout track on the album, but it's one of the ones that I do definitely like, and it's not one that I skip.
Sorry.
That's right.
I was just going to say I could easily take a minute off the end of it and like it more. I don't quite know why it has to break down into a bunch of sort of chants and stuff. I can't remember what the lyrical motif that's repeated at the end is, but it may just be Born to Die, I forget. Or no, there's another whole kind of round of chants they do on another lyric, and less is more for me on this one. I wish it ended a minute earlier.
Is it the greatest song on the album, or I'm not sure it's the best song on the album, but I really like it. I really like it, and I see more than pastiche in it, and some of his vocal presentations are like the way, and not to kind of go on and sing lines, but some of the ways he holds back, and like the way he when she's pimping every bottle from New York to LA, and like there's some beautiful push and pull with his vocals that although they're maybe pastiche, but there's enough of him in it to stop it being like kind of, oh, he's just doing Curtis Mayfield. I may not even have if I'd listened to it off the bat, I might have gone. I would, if they hadn't like amped up the story of it, I think I wouldn't have concentrated so much on the comparison.
I think that's a fair point. I think I'll pull back a couple. I've been a bit harsh. I like it a little more than I'm letting on, but sometimes I can't escape the fact that it sounds more redundant than it should do to me. It doesn't offer. It certainly doesn't offer anything new to music. Maybe that's not the point of music sometimes.
Well, perhaps you're not 1,000 light years away.
Oh, bravo, that man.
Well, it's my favourite song on the album.
Yay!
Oh.
Yeah,
that makes me really happy for some reason. I think that's just a very sunshiny choice.
Yeah, it's just, I absolutely love it. It's absolutely no secret either. I'm a massive Andy Allo fan, and obviously this was used with an Andy Allo kind of duet thing in the past, so we weren't completely unfamiliar from this track.
Yeah.
So we went into this kind of already familiar with most of the motif with an F.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this track. For me, it's joyful, it's happy, as you just said, Andy. It's really light, but again, it just feels genuine. I think there's so much on this album that feels like him making a point, feels like it's been written in a certain way to convey this, but it just feels really natural to me. I love Alyssa, Liv, and Shelby, like their vocals I absolutely adore, and I love how much they're used throughout the whole album. But they're just used in the perfect way for me on this track. They're not overused. They're not unbelievably high in the mix. He's used them expertly, incredibly. I could see you kind of nodding along there, Chopin.
Yeah, I think he's blended in as one of the girls, actually, his voice, like rather than co-leads and stuff, it's all co-leads rather than, duets and stuff. I think he, like, sometimes they're just backing singers and sometimes they're a feature, but with this, like all four voices kind of blend, and also this steps back to that kind of thing of lyrically he makes a socially conscious point in a lot more kind of delicate, optimistic.
It's a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's also more back to the kind of poetic approach as opposed to mass media. It's somebody's watching you. This is like, we can live underwater because we've never been part of this, because we've never been you're covering slavery, the current Black Lives Matter movement, and global warming,
right? And
in one little optimistic will survive,
right? And it's got the imaginative playfulness that something like Welcome to America doesn't. It's like, here are the problems and here's the solution. We're going to go to an underwater Atlantis utopia because I'm Prince and I'm still Daffy, and that's great. I like that, and it reminds me. This reminds me of, in a good way this time, of say some Stevie Wonder stuff. It reminds me of like Saturn by Stevie Wonder, just in being it's a fantasia.
Yes,
it's a fantasia. It's a vision of utopia. I don't love it. I like it, and I like all the things that I've just mentioned about it. In the right mood, this hits me really nicely. Am I wrong, or I can't remember? Is there some lyrical crossover with Black Muse? Did that go to 1,000?
This was used as the end of Black Muse.
Yeah, the lines in Black Muse.
Yeah,
that's right. I haven't listened to Black Muse for a while, but I really like
Black Years from here. Yeah, this was used in Black.
So this is a sister.
They used the melody as well. Yeah. The lyrics were different, but the melody.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is a sister track to Black Muse, and I really like Black Muse. And again, Black Muse. See the different.
Light years from here.
Yeah.
It was used in both. Yeah,
that's right. And then I thought it was. I just haven't listened to it for a while. But again, Black Muse, instantly I felt he was channeling Stevie, and I think that's what I like it when he's channeling something rather than, for me, pastiching something. And that's a nice blend. It's a nice track.
Do you know what it is about this track for me as well? Is I like 2010. I really like it as an album. I think on the one day a year that us in the UK get summer, 2010 is like the best album to listen to. But I do understand why people don't as well. If I'm not in the mood for that, that's like the worst album I could play. So for me, this track is the perfect middleman between 2010 and Artificial Age. It's the perfect middleman for me. It sits perfectly in the middle. I love Artificial Age as well. It's one of my favorite.
I love Artificial Age. I'm a big fan of that album.
Yeah, and for me, it takes like 50% of 2010, 50% of Artificial Age, and right in the middle, we've got 1,000 Light Years from here.
This sounds like the weirdest maths paper ever.
We'd pass though.
Yeah, this is true. Okay, I definitely give this song a pass as well. I think it's a needed uplift, actually.
Holistically, I'm not blown away by it, I'll be honest. But that chorus, that line, is a really, really nice line.
Yep.
It lifts everything else with it. Decent track. Really like it. I think it'd be a nice chilled live track as well. Good track.
I really love the kind of the bridge, like descending vocal line when he goes 1,000 light years and we.
Oh yeah.
I love the way he does that, and then it lifts to 1,000. Like, I gotta say, this is one of those songs that, like, when I first heard it, it was just like I felt happy and up, and I was just like, actually, I would kind of, like you guys are saying, Welcome to America should have been like another track. I think Hot Summer should have been this one, like as the pre-release one. But I love this song. I think this
as well. Do you think
this is my second? This is my second. It's only narrowly beaten out by another one, but
I know what that's going to be, but I say nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But this comes in a close second, and just because I felt lifted when I listened to it, and there's loads of little details in it that are beautiful. The acoustic guitar in the background is gorgeous. I'm sorry, Paddy.
No, it's all right. Sorry. Do you think? I can't exactly remember what you. It was related to this track, but I can't remember exactly. We mentioned the BLM stuff, Floyd. I don't know if this is an absolute no-brainer or if it's not a no-brainer. So I'm kind of checking whether I think I'm nuts or not. To what degree, if at all, do you think that the choice of this particular album, because everybody's, it's sort of eerily relevant. Yeah, it is. But I think most of the things he talks about have been pretty much how they are for him for years and years and years and years. But do you think that it was a conscious decision to release it because it had this theme? Do you think that's an absolute lock?
Well, I think if you're a good curator, and this is the argument for curating the releases from the vault as opposed to just opening the doors and letting anything come out. If you're a good curator, you'll tap into the zeitgeist and kind of go, well, we've probably got a Prince song for every theme. Like there's literally, I'm like, if you're saying that there's 8,000 recordings in there, of various completions, I wonder how that metric is, whether they consider.
Now I'm just thinking, like, I hope aliens invade soon, and they're like, "Oh, Prince made a whole album about that in 2002. Here you go."
I bet you he did.
I bet he did too. Like, I'd love to hear a Prince album. I'd like to hear a Prince album, a concept album about aliens. Yeah. I've suddenly drifted off into my own 1,000 light years from home here.
I mean, the likelihood when you have a number like again, we don't know how they're quantifying the number or whether that includes released, unreleased, but if you're saying that whether all of them are songs or whether them are redos, remixes and stuff like that, is if you're saying a number like 8,000, well, there's gonna be aliens in there somewhere.
This is kind of weird.
Sorry, I don't know what I did there. It must be the hot summer weather getting to my brain.
Oh, awful.
Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump in first on this one. I think I am definitely the pariah here. And I've answered a few threads online about this. I like this song. I like it for its simplicity, its tertiary nature, the slight superficial bubblegumness of it. And I think this would have been an absolutely banging live song. I really like it. It in a funny way, it sort of doesn't fit on this album a little bit, but if you'll forgive me, it fits because it doesn't fit, and because it feels to me to be the one that sort of doesn't. That makes it make sense in the context of everything else. But I really like this little ditty. It's terribly simple. It's mechanically, it's a penny farthing mechanically. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, at this point, it was decided that Paddy should leave the podcast and go and do something else for the evening.
I'm leaving too in that case because I flipping love it as well, Paddy.
Did I miss something?
Oh, thank goodness.
Are you still talking about 1,000 light years from here? Or are you talking about
this is hot summer?
What happened there? Because I
did a link.
I did a wicked segue.
You were still playing with the dolphins underwater, Chopin.
Sorry, Shopes.
Wait a minute. Those aliens abducted me for 10 seconds. I didn't notice that. All I heard was a click and what happened there? And
10 seconds your time. It's 2025 here. Welcome home.
Oh my god. I did not hear anything.
Sorry, Shopes. So, Shopes, so now you know what I was talking about. What do you think of it?
Okay. So this isn't a new track. This has been around since I think this was actually 2011, along with Rich Friends, was actually streamed.
Was this a Tidal one? It was. I remember it coming out. Was it?
No, it was released on the Current.
Oh, that was
radio show, and then everybody kind of MP3'd it around.
Yeah.
So you had Rich Friends as well, and the family even did their joke about hot summer at Maynard's, like the grocery advert. But I didn't like it then. It sounds better now that I like it a bit more now that it's not you know, kind of like a low res copy, and I can hear a lot more of it sonically. The comment I kind of wrote down, and and I don't know, I think it's like the photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of Cream.
Yeah.
Right. That's my like, it's like,
It's got that thing pumping it along.
I think if it was a minute shorter and it was more like, you know, like how Mars is like 2.5 minutes. Like if there was 2.5 minutes of this, or there was a lift or something that had at the end, I think because I don't actually mind the, you know, everybody like, I don't mind all of that, but it kind of it just says hot summer one too many times,
about 40 too many times, I think.
It makes me think of Screwdriver more than Cream. I can kind of see where you're going, don't get me wrong, Chopes.
Well, both are better songs.
Yes, I'd go with that.
But that, I mean, I don't. Yeah, Hot Summer is like, I think the first one on this so far that I've kind of like, it's just like it plods along. Maybe it was a bit shorter, I'd think more of it. I don't hate it, but it's like,
it's a great cleaning song.
Okay.
Like when you're scrubbing the sides in your kitchen.
Yeah.
What a banger.
I can kind of see that, actually.
I can see that too, but that just makes me itch. Like,
I'm not entirely sure that
I mean, I think if you take a lot of amphetamine and want to clean every nook and cranny of your kitchen,
have this song on repeat.
I think that would be a terrible day, but I think you'd get a clean kitchen out of it.
Now I can just imagine you in a straitjacket going, Hot Summer.
I'm not a massive fan of this song, as you can tell. I'll tell you how it could have been good for me. I mean, Prince could have written this at any stage in his career. Just this would have taken him about less than this would have taken him a shorter time to compose than it did to actually perform. Almost, it's like that easy for him. And but this
Cream,
is the kind
teacher, that kind
of
thing.
Yeah. This is the kind of there's one iteration of this song that I think I could like, and that is if this was from 1982 and it was all on synths and given to, or 1983 and given to Vanity or Apollonia or someone, and really, really, really bubble gummed up, because I think as kind of surfy airhead trash goes, I'd like to hear I'd like to hear an 80s synth version of it rather than a kind of restrained guitar bop version of it here.
I'm so tempted to rock this up and shove a verse and a chorus in a set, I'll tell you.
I'd be here for it if you did. Which song would you do? Which song would you, if you were kind of gonna interject this, which song would you do it as part of? Would it be like take Me With You, Cream, or something like that?
There's a podcast there for that kind of talk. Oh, I don't know, but I've played along to it.
It might be quite good at the end of the time stuff.
Yeah, it could. You could fit it in anywhere. It's a nothing. I know you like it.
There is an aspect. I get exactly what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. Like tertiary, bubblegum, superficial. It is a nothing. But the fact that it's a nothing. This is a thing I always not. Again, I sound like I'm being vaguely insulting, and honest to God, I'm not. But the stuff that's a nothing, musically, there's something really clever about that.
There
really
is.
Clever about that.
This is leading on to something I wanted to criticize about the album in general, but I'll do it.
Palate cleanser.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing: nothing's on this album as a whole. Nothing is pushed production-wise to its extreme. It's very in the middle. I like. There's not a lot of air in this album. It's a very compressed sound. And I would I would really like for me that, okay, forget the Vanity stuff. He doesn't have to time travel back to the 80s and do an earlier version of this. But if somebody, basically, if he decided to produce this full out and make it sonically skankier or something, I could like it. But because it's all done with there's a lot of restraint on this album, and it means that nothing really it doesn't shine out as its own sonic piece.
A lot of that
Are you saying? Oh, sorry. Are you saying it's too well recorded for what it is?
I would say, as a rule, yes, I am, and I would.
Like if this was recorded in a cheap New York
hang on
studio.
a minute.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, if you think about the way it came together, it's essentially a power trio music. It's essentially a power trio musically, with some depth in vocal, with your sort of triple threat.
Yeah.
Sometimes lead, sometimes not. And then Hayes was the guy who produced it. And apparently the quote to Hayes was, "Look, just overproduce it and I'll take out what I don't want."
I know.
I can see how it's got to where it's got in that respect, and I don't mind it for that.
But I would like a different set of ears on this. I wish Prince had... This album really reminded me of the old "Don't you wish that Prince had worked with some different producers" argument, which, yes, I do. You know, I think I would love to hear what somebody who wasn't in Prince's thrall, but obviously Mr. Hayes is, right? Maurice Hayes is. I'd like to hear what a really, really interesting creative producer could have done with this material in the studio, and like given every song a different sonic soundscape. I think there needs to be so much more air and hiss at the top of this album, and particularly like this song could do with more air in it. It's too everything's too polite and restrained, so that it's hard for stuff to really stand out and fight for itself.
Again, symptomatic of something that was put together with the trio in a week and a half. I get how it is. I can understand as a musician how this is how it is.
I get that too, but well, I mean, you clarified it further for me, but still, it's not the right decision for me for Prince to say overproduce it and I'll take stuff out.
Well, quite right. In the end, you're making something for people to listen to, so the people who listen to it can figure it out.
If you've got a power trio, but you overproduce it to make it all sound like sort of MOR. You're taking away the natural dynamics that are available to you with that power trio, and you're getting. I think you're selling yourself short. There's loads of songs on this album that I think could really do with a different color.
Well, I think it's no Sonny and Michael the Undertaker in terms of power trios. Like, you know, it's. I think it would have been maybe like if we're talking about ways in which this could have been better recorded or something, is if they learned all the songs and then they did a standalone gig at the Dakota or First Avenue or, you know, anywhere but Paisley, and recorded the bed tracks that way and produce those bed tracks just to create a kind of more dynamic track.
Yeah, the dynamics really are all too polite for me on this album as a whole.
On this song, I would say on this song, on Hot Summer specifically, there are places where it isn't, but this song, I would say that's true. Yeah,
this is a good example of it for sure. Can I say one last thing about it? It really annoys me. Can't you just say it's gonna be a hot summer? I can't stand it. Just say it's not gonna be hot summer. It's gonna be a hot summer. I need that indefinite article. It drives me nuts.
Well, when you're a prolific lyricist, you know, sometimes you've just got to stand up and be strong.
Oh, well, that's funny because this is the only lyric he didn't write. This is but I appreciate the link. It was tasty.
I love the fact that, I mean, not that there's ever any doubt that Prince's tastes were fairly diverse in what he listened to, but in spite of the sort of Michael Bland connection, I love to think of Prince sat there listening to Grave Dancers Union as an album. I'm just like, wow, I'd love to just have seen his face as he's listening to it. Not that this was on that album, but I suppose that was the most prominent Soul Asylum album commercially. But yeah, an interesting take on an already fairly decent song, to be honest. But what do you all think?
I didn't know this was a cover. I didn't know the song, and on my first listen, it really stood out to me for one really interesting reason. Well, a few, but actually, I thought, oh, brilliant. He's written a lyric that anyone can relate to. It's about being depressed. It's about, you know, trying not to be on pills. It's very, and I thought that's what I missed from so much Prince from the mid-90s and beyond, is just the common touch and the universality of lyrics. And then I found out it was a cover, and it really crystallized that for me. It's like, I do not understand, bit of a spoiler, and I'll just jump ahead for a second. I've got no bloody idea what he's going on about in Rin Tin Tin, right? And it takes away from the song for me, because how can you relate? Some of you might understand it more than me, but it's very much in Prince's head. When I hear something about just like, you feel like you don't really want to be around anymore, you feel tired of yourself, you feel depressed, I thought, brilliant, Prince can write a common touch lyric again. And it turns out he can't. And that made me really think that that's something that I missed from Prince as time went by. It came back in AOI massively. Could understand what he was talking about a lot on AOI. AOC even. I was thinking of the De La Soul album, AOI there.
Arthur
I love
Schlage,
this song. Love it. It's in my top 4, I would say. I, like Andy, didn't know that this was a cover. And it's interesting, like you said, kind of when you know that, you go, oh, that's what that different thing is that's in there that's attracted me to this. But I love it. It kind of reminds me of that Still Would Stand All Time gospel feel. But I absolutely love it. It's one of the few Prince songs that genuinely lift me, like from my inner soul when I listen to. Still Would Stand All Time does that, Gold does that, and this is one of those. And I know I'm ranking these with some really big songs here, but it brings that same feeling to me. It's up there with some very select Prince songs that I listen to and I genuinely feel significantly better and uplifted after listening to it. It spiritually affects me more than a lot of his other work. And again, the background that Alyssa, Liv, Shelby just bring that to a whole new level. And I don't think any of the vocalists that he'd worked with could have been able to pull that off and lift it the way that they did.
Really agree with the Still Would Stand All Time. It reminds me of the version of Stand All Time that's on Small Club. And I think a lot of the chord changes and intervals are very similar. But then I went and listened to the original, and I didn't give it much time because it's not. I just wanted to hear a comparison. I was interested to see how different musically it was. Completely different genre, obviously, sort of pop grunge. Really, really like how Prince Still Would Stand All Time did this song. Really like what he did to it. Really nice. Really like his vocal delivery. It does upset me a bit that he couldn't necessarily write the songs that affect me so much at this stage in his career. And like it's like I always go, oh, I want that to be a Prince original, then I'd like it more.
I don't want to give my opinion after Leah loved it so much.
No, you can always trash
you
the
can
other
do
people
it.
on
Come on.
I am convinced this is a placeholder that he put on a sequence in that wasn't that it was. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see how this clearly unfinished song.
Whoa! I don't hear that at all.
Literally, in it.
Wow.
That's what I hear. I hear like, oh, you haven't put the reverbs on. You haven't put this on. That, I mean, and sometimes that's the style of the song, and maybe there's something I'm not really. I mean, there's one really interesting bit that Prince sings that line about if you're in a house in the hill taking too many pills because you've lost the thrill. I mean, the fact that he recorded that in 2010 and it's kind of like if
poignant.
It's quite poignant. Whether the issues whether the issues were there then and or he just liked this song and with all things
he definitely sings it. He definitely sings this with conviction and connection. I'm not saying to that line in particular or not, but he really connects with the song, and it's a good performance.
Like, this is the problem with Prince, is like there's no bad performance. Like, they're always in tune, on time. Like they're all well played and stuff like that. But this, I don't know. This was like a kind of I'm not entirely sure I connect to the you know, like the lyrics of it, and I
Get-
love Stand All Time.
Get a bit older and a bit tireder like me, and you'll connect more.
Oh, I'm old and tired. You know,
You're not. You're not old and tired enough.
No, we're still, you
Hey,
know.
I'm older and tireder than all of you, so
Okay. But I like still would Stand All Time. You know, mind-blowingly spiritual, lifts me and thing. I you know, like, again, even though this is a patch of the album, Hot Summer and Stand Up and Be Strong. These are probably my two least favorite on the album. Still glad I got to hear them.
Always.
You know, if we're talking about in context, for no other reason than, you know, Leah's feeling lifted from this, right? So somewhere out there's something, and I feel this way about many other parts of his career that aren't my favorite and stuff. I'm still glad I got to hear them, and I'm still glad this stuff is coming out, even if it's not going to be, you know, give me gold experience or, you know, Diamonds and Pearls feels. It's still, I think that's what we've got. You know, it's still, you know, a you know, a good enough song, performed in a good way, and somebody's getting something out of it. So, you know, it would be selfish for me to go, you know, this is crap. It should never have seen the light of day. It's just like, okay, well, this is, you know, out of the 10,000 Prince songs I've heard, this one I don't relate to, and I can't gel with. But
have we heard what Paddy thinks on this one?
Go on.
I really like the original.
That was very hesitant.
I have to think about this one because it's got a few dynamics, and I'm a Soul Asylum fan, so I'm sort of it's different for me.
Yeah.
It's a fairly solid cover for me. He does his own thing. I have to say, I don't think it feels like it's a filler. I think the song, I can see how the theme of the song is it has humanity and that kind of thing, like a genericized humanity, and that kind of thing, sort of a non-political humanity, and that perhaps sat in the middle of this particular album does something, has more power because of it. I don't know. But yeah, I like it. I wouldn't have minded had he been a little bit heavier in guitar, but that's a guitarist from a band saying that. So I don't think that holds a great deal of water. But you know, the sort of gospelization and the soul, it's okay. It's okay. I enjoyed it, yes, but not
blown away.
Really.
Yeah. All righty. Where are we next? Or have you got a link for us, Paddy?
I'll just check the record, see where we are. You cross them, Andy. I'll head them in, mate.
Got it. Assist. Yes. Check the record. This has got to be Chopin kicking us off here because I've got a feeling.
Best song on the record. What makes the entire every version of the album that I bought, makes it all worthwhile. Like,
what was the very first thing you thought when you heard it?
I'd heard a live version of Third Eye Girl at the Dakota Club, so I kind of knew the song a bit. But when I heard the version that was on here, I mean, even if I had a critique of it, like say lifting the guitars up, it wouldn't have done much more than it already does now. It's kind of like it's like it's on the same song tree as Rebirth of the Flesh to me, and 9 to 5 People of Prince just killing it and having fun and being, and this is, and kind of like not being Jehovah's Witnessy, which was really nice. Like, and this era, I wonder if this is, again, I wonder if this is why this album didn't see the light. I know that there was, you know, with the band didn't end up touring with him, but I wonder if there was kind of like he didn't try and convince them because there was part of the whole, there's lots of the sinister minister. Then there's kind of like the sexual stuff of like I'm sleeping with, I'm coveting my neighbor's wife. Do you know what I mean? He's breaking one, potentially breaking one of the 10 commandments in this song, and it's like, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I love the bit where he does that. There was something he was doing around this time where he was trying to find alternatives because he found soloing on guitar so easy. He was trying to find alternatives, and on Baltimore, what he did was rather than have the guitar solo, he had the string arrangement of the guitar solo that he recorded. And this one, you've got him going to do that, that kind of slide in the Family Stone.
It's very Riot going on, that bit.
Yeah, exactly. And like initially I was like, does this mean it's unfinished and he meant to? And then I was like, no, it's that. He's trying to find alternatives because it would be so obvious to put the screaming, but it's got enough restraint to it to make, but it's got enough power to it to make me feel released, and enough restraint to not make it feel guitar wanky. So it's, to me, this gives me all of the energy there is, and if you don't like it, I don't care. I don't care, because I love this song. Go on. I could talk forever, so
we need to edit it. We need to edit in a mic drop after. If you don't like it, I don't care.
That's it. Check the record. Oh.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of what you just did to me, a little bit, and not as much though.
Fair game.
You see, some people have class, Chopin.
No, be brutal. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
No, I do like it. Do you know what? When I was listening to the album for the first time through, and that intro came in, I was like, "What is this? What is this?" Like, I was instantly excited
because of the Lindrum, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's why I was asking Chopin. What was your first thought? Yeah. That I immediately, again, musician guy who's had to think about Lindrum samples. How's this all going to work? My ears, whoop! Oh, it's some Lindrum for the first time. What's going on here then?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It stands out for me. It does sound completely different to anything else on the album, and it is a step back. But I don't know, it just didn't quite feel to me like, listening to the track as a whole, it never fully lived up to what I expected after that intro. I don't dislike it. I think it's a brilliant track, and I do not think that it's like, if I was to list best to worst, it wouldn't be towards my bottom end. But I don't know. I wish I could get out of it what you get out of it, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm sure you wish you could get out of it what I got out of yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes, weirdly enough, this has happened to me on more than one occasion where I've not got a song and somebody said something and it's opened it up to me, and I'm going to go back and listen to that song for sure, because I was listening with my own ears, and I'll start listening to that one with, this is the whole point of talking about music, is not to kind of, for me, it's not about standing your ground or being competitive. It's about getting other people to see what you see, and having somebody else and understanding what other people are seeing. I think it's more, I talk about music as an addition rather than subtraction. Like, it's not about rolling that fence around. I think that the thing when you will enjoy this song and when you'll get something out of this song is the next Prince party, if they play it and they have a pole in the middle of the room, because I'm going to be on it. But like, so like I'm going to be working the pole, or if they've got a plinth or something, I like
working the plinth.
Just like whatever it is. Maybe it's just a table. Hopefully it's not one of those weak fold up ones, because that could be ugly. But
for anyone that hasn't seen Chopin at a Prince party, they are not as enlightened with the visual images we all have.
We're all going through absolute mental Rolodexes of images here. I agree with Leah. This one sounds like it's going to be something, and then doesn't quite touch the sides for me. Again, a bit sonically different than most of the album, but still nothing pushed to its extreme. All quite restrained for what should be a higher energy thing. I think the album as a whole, I'm just not hearing enough melodies coming out from most of these songs. And there's just not a lot of strong hooks. However, I think Check the Record is going to grow on me. I think it sounded like so much shuck and jive to me for the first few times, but I'm starting to hear more details in there now. And again, the problem with Prince, it's been alluded to here and there a bit today, he's so good. Most people can't get near this sort of detail and arrangement. But broadly speaking, I'd rather hear something primitive and hungry than someone who can do anything, not really having a fire burning under them on any particular thing. And that's sometimes that's why it doesn't feel vital to me, a lot of this phase. And again, to come back to Artificial Cage, that's when, for the first time in many years, he started. I like Hit and Run 1 and 2 as well, but Artificial Cage, he started sounding hungry to really say something new and about himself again. And I just think that, like, there's so much talent with Prince that we do it. You know, you get used to going that it's you can do it endlessly, but for why? And I wish I don't. So I don't feel. Anyway, I think I'm going to enjoy this song more as I get into it, but I still feel that.
Not to kind of cut off before we go to Paddy, but I think this is all of these albums, these 2010s, Welcome to America, and there was apparently quite a few other albums made around this time that didn't make it. I think Morris Hayes said there was something like 10 albums around this time, and which might include 2010 and this, but I think it was unreleased, so this would have been, that means that there's kind of 9 more. And I'm not sure if that includes Black is the New Black with the mono neon stuff, but this album is part of the sifting for what makes Artificial Age, and you know, like there's a period of, there's a reason why, you know, there's 4 years break. He's sifting for that new idea, and this is the kind of work that he's doing to find Plectrum Electrum. Like, you can tell this song, the kind of vibe of this song grows into, you know, Plectrum Electrum, whereas, you know, 1,000 Light Years and When She Comes grows into Hit and Run Phase 2. So in 2010 there's ideas on that grow into AOA.
I realise I've been calling it AOI and then AOC, and it's AOA. I apologise for anyone who wants to shoot me at this point.
AOC is a...
It's a song. It's a what, sorry? Oh, well, it's... But anyway.
But yeah, but this is one of those seeds where I can hear the song it grows into, the tree it grows into, which is, and I love Plectrum Electrum. I know many people way prefer AOA, I love Plectrum Electrum, and I love the whole Third Eye Girl thing. And this, to me, I you know, it's yeah, I don't know, this hit me straight away. This might end up being my least favorite as I overplay it and something else takes its place.
I'll enjoy listening to this one, thinking about you more, Chopin. I will, like hearing it with someone else's ears, as you say. What about you, Paddy?
You don't need to picture me on the pole. It's fine.
Well, I'm already there, mate. Sorry.
Sorry.
What do you reckon, Paddy?
I love it.
Yay!
I love it. I really like the track. It sounds like it was. It's got that vibe. It sounds like it's recorded live. There's lots of lovely little bass fills at the end of phrases. Again, it's probably just one that's a bit more relatable for me, but I think there's plenty going on. I really like it. I'd say this is sort of, if I had to pick sort of 5 that I really liked out the album, this would probably be number 2.
Cool.
Possibly 3, 2 or 3.
Have we had your favourite yet? I'm not sure. Yes, we have. Sorry.
Hands down, Born to Die. Yeah.
Born to Die.
Yeah, really like it. I'll be honest, I can't recall it from the Third Eye Girl live stuff, so I'd missed that. Did you mention that for Check the Record?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was it was only played at the Dakota Jazz Rooms. That's it.
Ah,
It
right.
wasn't like a regular on the set.
Couldn't remember it, but yeah. So for me, this would have been the first time it sort of entered my life, if you like. But yeah, I really like it. Possibly part of a medley with Hot Summer. I don't know. But no, yeah, grand. It's funny just to go across what you said about the albums and stuff being released at the time. So if you consider what the ones we do know about, so we have Artificial Age 4 years later. For me, then, if I'm looking at the album 2010 and the Lotus Flower, say is a trilogy, I think this is a stronger album than all of those 4 albums. Ooh, as a coherent piece of qualitative work, I do. Yeah,
wow. You take this over AOA?
No. I'm saying the Lotus Flower trilogy and.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You take this over Lotus Flower?
Yes, I would actually, and that's as a guitar player.
Well, from the lucky we're not in the same room now, isn't it?
Oh dear. From the perspective, don't get me. Yeah. I love all that stuff. I love the Minneapolis. I love it, but I'm coming at it from the point of view of being a coherent, tracked album. This is, in some very traditional, true sense. I just think that this album makes sense. From beginning to end, it does make sense to me. I'm not saying there aren't stronger songs here and there. I'm not going with that.
This is interesting because I'm no fan of Lotus Flower, and or even what's its sister album, Minneapolis Sound, or if I just
MPLS Sound.
Yeah. They've got. I'm no fan of those albums, and I really don't like 2010. And but the thing about the album we're discussing now. It's almost too. I keep saying it. It's almost too of a piece, and nothing sits out sonically. It actually makes me want more spiky things, even if they don't quite work, such as you might find on Lotus Flower. Like I really like Money from Lotus Flower, for instance.
This is really so bizarre because your taste and my taste, by and large, are very similar, and in the same way as you. Yeah, I like the spiky stuff, the really odd stuff. The out there stuff a little bit more, predominantly 80s and so on. But there is still something that pulls me and sort of centers me with how this is being presented as a sequence piece as an album release. And this is, like I was saying to my bass player, Ryan, was like, oh, this is my cup of tea, this album. I really like it. And this album isn't naturally my cup of tea at all. So I find it odd that I feel like that. But I do. I think this is a piece of work. The sum of the parts make it a really, really cohesive.
Yeah.
To me, quite a commercial, sellable album, and I'm stunned it wasn't released. I'll be honest.
Honestly, the most interesting thing to me about this album almost is getting a look into how difficult it must have been to be Prince and to be so good, and to not know which Prince to be today. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite frankly, if your thing is you release an album and you tour, and that's a cycle of a year or 18 months. What the hell do you do if you can bang a whole completed album together in a week and a half? What do you want to say? What do you want to convey? Is it something you've done before? Is it something new? Did you enjoy it? Have you gone off it since you did it?
Yeah.
Is it still in your head?
Yeah,
do you want to
take
those musicians on tour? What do you do?
Well, what do you think? What do you think the point of a piece of work should be when you're that good and you've done it? When you've done everything 5 times over, like Prince had.
Yeah.
What do you do? And that's so I find this fascinating in the questions it opens up about.
Hey guys, there's a podcast there.
Yeah, there is.
The benefits and drawbacks of being a
successful
musical genius. I'm probably polishing that a little bit too much, but the benefits and drawbacks of somebody who produces so much so quickly and such a different patchwork of different stuff. It's
also
big one.
Also 4 different fans like vibing off of 4 different things, like and going, yeah, that's the thing he should have done. Like me, Lotus Flower is a complete high point. I kind of get your idea with the full album thing because there's 2 songs that kind of chuck it away from being a cohesive all the way through album, and that's kind of like 77 Beverly Park and Money are the 2 things that kind of step it out of being. I mean, songs,
Money's the 2 minutes I would keep from Lotus Flower.
I think money should be on MPLS Sound and and another rocker on.
But he often did that when he got into his I'll release two albums at once. There were often little cross connections. Where what this is going to be cohesive and this is going to be, and then it's not. No, it's no, you put that song on that one and that's. He was always tying up his shoelaces back to front, Prince.
Well, Common Gold experience, the kind of their development is absolutely interchangeable, and songs that didn't even make it onto either album, like Interactive, could have been on both, and at times were, and like you say, this is what the Vault curation. This is why this is so well curated an item, is because it sparked this conversation about how difficult it is to be Prince with this much stuff. If you can make this in 3 days, then
what do you do? This is again more than any other.
You've labored forever on masterpieces and made them. You labored for a year and made a masterpiece, and then you chuck stuff out willy-nilly and made masterpieces.
More than any other album I've ever heard from Prince, or it's maybe just where I've got to in my understanding, but this album has made me think he should have put himself with a producer who would have pushed him at this point in his career. And done something with a bit of guidance or challenge.
I think rather than pushed him, because I don't think that would have in any way gotten anything good out of him. I think he would have shut down and dug his heels in. I think I think he should have given it to someone else. But weirdly enough that you say this, because Artificial Age is one where he did give the songs to someone else, and it was Josh Walden, and
it did something good as far as I can
and it did
see.
something good.
I don't know how I'd compare it to Artificial Age, because I do like Artificial Age. I'd say it's snapping at the heels of Artificial Age in a way.
For me, it's not even close.
Pedus. And again, I think Lotus Flower is a really, really good album, and by and large relatively cohesive as well, and makes sense. But yeah, this is the this is a nice consolidated saleable album, and again, in a bizarre way, completely counterintuitive to what I usually want from my Prince releases. Yeah. So that's when I said at the beginning, I've really warmed to it and I didn't expect to.
And I do have some sympathy for what you're saying. We're not a million miles away. And I know this is almost sounding like a link for a later song, same page, different book. But but we're not there yet, are we? That's not the next one. That's not the next song, is it?
Oh, but yeah.
Is it? Oh, well, then I just completely screwed it up. I fumbled that one, sorry.
Yeah.
You're a subconscious genius, Andy.
Hey, one or the other, or neither of the sort. Well, let's go on then. We're obviously we're on to that song. I'm not going to make the link twice.
I'll let Leah go first with this one, because we've been kind of hashing out these albums quite well, and Leah's been very patient with us.
She has.
I love this song. Love. What else? This has been around. This has been in the ethos for a while, right? So
2013, it was on I think 2013, end of 2013, start of 2014. It was on. Remember when there was that Who Is Third Eye Girl? She was meant to be a bootlegger that was releasing Prince stuff on YouTube and on a website. And this, there was an extended version of Lay Down, and this one, and I think Boyfriend as well, with the 3 songs. But this one, which I wonder what album Boyfriend was on. So same page, different book was. It's been around for a while in a very low res, like Hot Summer, in a kind of low res stream. But this, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. I knew when it came on. It was one of those songs that I know. It came on and I knew the chorus and I knew the words, and I'm like, I'm not sure how I know this, so I know it's in the ethos somewhere. But I absolutely love this track. It again, it is in one of my favorites on the album. I've absolutely loved watching Shelby J's lives, where she'll just be in Walmart, just like same page, different book. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching like Shelby just singing this everywhere. No, but I absolutely love it. again, for me, it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I must just have a thing for these 1,000 Light Years, slightly lighter, I want to say more generic tracks.
Breezy.
Yeah.
I don't always need a point. I don't need someone poking me in the chest whilst listening to the music. Sometimes it's just nice to listen to it have a point, but it not be like shouting at me, if you know what I mean. But that's the reason I absolutely love this. And again, it's just mastery of using the vocalists that you've got at hand, which I think with the trio of vocalists he just knew exactly where to put them every single time.
And Shelby's guest rap is good as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. It's bouncy, it's poppy. It's, again, a really kind of gets the message across in a very light way. Really, like I said, it's the one with watch out for the sinister minister, like some, same page, different book. Whereas what a difference from, say, Rainbow Children, which is like, there is, the opposite of NATO is art, and and it's all of that kind of stuff, the Akhenaten stuff, the kind of monotheistic, it's all really closed down New World Translation only, and then you cut forward to this and it's like same page, different book. It's pretty much like, I don't know if you can write that and still be following Jehovah's Witness doctrine as heavily as he was in the early 2000s. There must be some sort of because that would be an anathema to what they're teaching. I'm not saying that he didn't take what I think he did what he did with music. He went, he visited, took what he wanted, and went on his way. I'm not saying that I liked everything that he took with him from it, but it's nice to see that things had relaxed a little bit on that note, and he was able to, and it explains a lot of songs and things that were happening around that time, like even songs before then, like there's a song that he did that was about 2009, and he just done oh god, I'm gonna have to edit the pause before I realize what song I'm talking about now. It's the one where it's boy behind your bed, turn me loose. The lyrics to Turn Me Loose are filth, but they're, they're hinted filth. And the fact that, this comes after that as well, it just shows that he was, he was mellowing. Yeah. It tells me, he's not quite, like Richard Dawkins atheist or anything like that. But he's mellowed on that, on that theology stuff a lot.
That's evidenced even more, I think. I'm not jumping ahead, but for the next track, When She Comes, that's evidenced. Absolutely. Even more so.
Yeah, I don't even need to go back that far.
Although again, he didn't put this out at the time, so he was mellowing but still not putting that out as his message.
He was mellowing and not wanting to tell anyone yet.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly, which is a mellow. But the fact that he recorded it, I agree. I like the song. I really, this is another one that I put this in a similar camp to Running Game. It's got some really sweet lines in it. It's one of the few songs on the album to me that's got big hooks, and I really like the chorus, really like it. Also, lyrically, as you've been talking about, it's a really good message. To me, it sounds like Nothing, the title, same page, different book. I was very late to this, but it was only today, listening to it for about the 6th time, that I was like, oh, that's actually a really nice, it's a cliche phrase, but when he's singing about it, he's singing about the Bible and the Quran and the, whatever other religious books I'm not smart enough, the Talmud, religious books I'm not smart enough to know, but that's actually really neat. He's using a stock phrase in a deeper way than I have given him credit for sometimes. And I like hearing him sing about St. Paul, but What I'd really like is to this is one where I think it could have been pushed more at the end. Keep having that stop, and then it goes, and then bounce in again with same page, because it's really nice, that effect. So yet again, it's a really nice song that I think could have been just pushed that bit harder.
I do like that bit where he's like, "We're better off chilling till the world ends," you know, and then the dirty bass bits. Oh.
Yeah, all nice. Really, really, really good Prince funky bounce.
Paddy?
Yeah, I think it does have some resonance because of the breeziness and the way that the chorus is delivered. It's very catchy, similar to 1,000 Light Years. Yeah, I like it. Like you said, the some of the bass fills and the fuzz stand out like that. It's kind of like a quality. No, album track's always a bit of a derogatory word in a way, and it doesn't have to be, because there's a lot of scope with that. But for me, it's like a really solid, in-line, logical album track for this album, and I like it. Yeah, good track.
Yeah, definitely earns its place.
Definitely.
Come on, Paddy, have you not got a planned out?
Well, I love Shelby's rap on it, and I love it when she comes.
Oh boy, that was never going to be easy, and Chopin just proved why.
Yeah, I was.
That sounds wrong.
I was purposely avoiding that one. I don't know.
This is yet another interesting thing to me that opens up something about the album, which is when I hear the version on Hit and Run 2, because there's more dynamics in that album and there's more banging stuff and harder stuff. And stuff. When it comes along, I go, a ballad, like you would at a Prince show. When I hear it on here, it just sounds like, another mid-tempo song, because there hasn't been enough variation for me in terms of dynamics and attack on the rest of the album. So it actually feels like more of the more to me. It doesn't. A ballad should throw everything before and after it into relief, I think. And this doesn't. There isn't much to throw into relief on this album for me. There you go. Love the song on Hit and Run 2.
Yeah, I'd say slightly prefer the other version. As I've said before, I'm not a massive ballad guy post 80s for Prince stuff. I'm the wrong person to ask about this one in a sense. I think the take on this track again fits the album, so it feeds into that overall strength and sort of joined up cadence of the whole thing. But yeah, if I was gonna skip one, this would be the one I'd skip probably.
You're allowed.
I love it.
Yay!
Absolutely love it. I love both versions though. I loved it obviously the first time we heard it, and on this one. For me, I do get what you mean about like, another kind of mid-tempo track.
Mm-hmm.
I do get that. But for me, it's so stripped back that is what makes it stand out for me. It feels far more intimate than anything else on the album. And not just because of the lyrical content, but because it is just so isolated on his vocal.
That's fine.
And it's just, it feels like those kind of piano and microphone moments. It feels like one of those for me. It feels like he's in my living room playing for me when he sings that, and you've got that record on. So I think that's why I love it so much. And I think as someone who isn't religious, is an atheist, and didn't necessarily always agree with his views later on, it's always a nice relief when there's a song like that in. I'm like, there he is. There's the guy we do.
Oh, Leah, how could you say such a thing? You can't possibly be a true Prince fan unless you converted at exactly the same time. What could you possibly?
How dare you disagree with Prince? I'm with you on this one. It's really intimate, and I really like it. And I'm not a ballads person by a long stretch, and I think most people that Talk to Me About Prince is kind of one of the standout features. Is I don't like the ballads very much, but I mean, this is like on the Satisfied, on the Couch,
I prefer it
Here on
massively to both of those two.
Here on Earth and I actually prefer it to the Hit and Run Phase 2 version.
I didn't realize you weren't keen on the ballads, Shopes.
No, I mean, I like
Ryan.
yeah, because it stands out. I mean, like
yeah.
Like I said, like I Do Me Baby Leaves Me Cold.
Crazy talk, but we've been here before.
Adore, I had to be convinced on, but Andy did the good work, and that was
one to me. Yeah, I'm batting about one versus about 700 losses, but Chopin feels the same about me, I'm sure.
Likewise, yeah. no, there's plenty that you.
No, I know, I kid you.
But I really do like this version of the song. I like the closeness of the mic. I like the intimacy of it. I love his vocal delivery. I love the stripped down nature of it. And I did actually like the song on Hit and Run Phase 2. Like I say, it's not that I hate the ballads. It's just like they're not my go-to thing. I'll have a kind of I'll listen to this one. They're usually placeholders.
I think it kind of should have come after Hot Summer on the track listing.
Ooh,
actually,
I can hear that.
Yeah, just to really
dynamics.
Dynamics. And like, I agree it's a cohesive album, but I think it's, as I say, I think it's a bit too cohesive in a way. And like, I would like it to be a breath after something as sort of bang, bang, bang as Hot Summer say.
Yeah. I think
comes at a weird place in the album for me.
Yeah, it's especially what comes after it as well is just like it's another left turn. I think
I could possibly well let's go on to Rin Tin Tin then, because that's a weird one.
Yeah, because I mean when she comes I think most people it's a really great song. It's a really great performance, but there's not much to say about it musically that like he hasn't already done before. It's a kind of like a stock type of.
I think more importantly, we've already got a produced version of it, so it's like
exactly.
You're not going to go a new song on this one because it's literally not a new song to us.
Exactly. So Rin Tin Tin 1010 is the next. I'm probably like everybody else. I haven't kind of delved into it and gone into the whole Prince insinuation, whatever it is that he's talking about. Like
this is a really oblique one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones where he might be completely back in with the Jehovah's Witness things, and it's just so obscure that I'm just not getting it, and the same thing. But I like it. Like I in fact I love it. I the groove of it is what was that? There was something I said about there's bits of it that remind me of In This Bed I Scream. And I'm struggling now. Is that that Rin Tin Tin? Is like that. And it's like there's a kind of a certain chord change there that's in This Bed I Scream. Yeah, to these walls I spawn. Dun dun dun. Like there's like a kind of like a stab in nature that really reminds me of In This Bed I Scream. So there's musical bits and bobs that kind of anchor me to a Prince thing. It's strange enough that it's the album, it's a Prince album, and it's still got kind of a mystery to it, which is what I like about this song, because otherwise it would just be like kind of consumable Prince songs that leave no kind of question mark. And Prince albums always left a little bit of a question mark to be explored, and this for me leaves that question mark to be explored, which makes it an interesting release.
This one is a massive nearly for me, because when it started up, it's the only one that gave me goosebumps. And then I was like, oh, hello, we're going to get some weird Prince now. And then it doesn't really deliver on that. The goosebumps died away in 30 seconds and it seems a bit simple for what it is. And one way this really could have been helped is with a relatable lyric for me. Good for Prince. He did whatever he wanted to do. But like, you know, you have this very sparse opening. It's arresting. It's dramatic. And then the lyrics are about, I do not know what. And like when I compare that, as soon as this started up, I was thought, okay, here we go. I'm in anesthesia territory.
Yeah.
But then look at the first lines of Anesthesia. Have you ever been so lonely that you know? Have you ever? You're just like, oh my God, that gets you. And then this one, it's like, okay, we're definitely on some weird numerical, religious, obscure thing that Prince found at the back of one of his readings. What? So it's a shame because I think if this was about something that I could understand, I think it would sell me because I like the musical picture that's being painted.
Yeah, I'm going to go through the lyrics with a fine-tooth comb on this one because I kind of want to get the reference. I'm like kind of look at this one. I'm musically invested enough to want to get the reference. I mean, Anastasia is totally different because it's clear as day.
Clear as
one
day.
Of his greatest first lines,
of course, and a great lyric in. But again, like Way Back Home, just for songs that give you the chills and the thrills and the spills. Actually, I think the lyric being something you can hear the humanity in is massively important. And this one had the potential to do that if it was about something that wasn't so arcane, in my opinion.
I wish I could say that it was whether it was or wasn't about something so arcane because
but even the fact that you can't tells you that like that, it doesn't have that immediacy that you can relate to. But
no.
I was really hoping that like someone would enlighten me today. Like I was like gonna come onto this song when you were like, okay, Leah, what do you think? And I would be like, I'm ready for you to enlighten me. And I realized I am not on my own with this.
Nah, I mean, good old Prince, just being Prince, but no idea, mate. Sorry.
I'm sure his point was to challenge, though. I'm sure he'd have got, a little bit of a kick that there's a lot of people going, what?
Well, do you want me to tell you what it's about?
Oh, yeah.
No chance. I've no idea. No, similarly, I don't know. I probably synergize with Andy a bit in this one. At the beginning, I'm like, yeah, there's something. It's a strange one. I can tell this is going to be a repeat. I think in 6 months' time, this will mean something completely different to me. Having listened to it. I wouldn't say I was disappointed with it. I thought it was a fairly solid tune all the way through. But it sort of crescendos, drops. I quite like it. As I say, and I'm not initially my first hit, as I always say, is very much a musical hit rather than lyrical hit. But yeah, it feels like there's a bit of a journey with this song for me. But I like it. I
don't think the lyric is ever going to open up because it's so obscure. So, but again, when you get and I'm about music and lots of things in listening to music, but I think when you get intriguing music coupled with a lyric that you can put, that can hit you in the feels, as they say nowadays, you get something truly powerful. And that's why this is a nearly for me, because I think he actually needed to sell this one with a connection to the listener that isn't there because of the words.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
I had to, while you guys were talking, Googled Rin Tin Tin because I knew I'd heard the phrase before, and it was like a silent movie era dog that was found on World War I battlefield. And it's asking the Lone Ranger Rin Tin Tin.
It's very odd. I knew of the Hollywood dog, but what light does that shed? What's the subtitle of this 1010? I think Prince suggests that it's a pun, Rin Tin Tin 1010, but that's as far as anyone's got with it.
Or it's a millennium before 2010, because if this was recorded in 2010, 1010 is a millennium before.
Hadn't thought about that. That's right. And then, but then,
So
why
it's like, what have we done in the last 1,000 years? You know, like, but destroy the earth and, you know, like, and create false rescue, like the Lone Ranger, somebody else is coming to. I mean, that could be one interpretation. Just
well, Princeville also said that it might have something to do with the angelic number 1010, but what the hell that means, I have no idea. I do not know what an angelic number is. It sounds very numerological to me.
Or could be a passage in the Bible.
Yeah, or it could
10-10.
be Prince had too much Captain Crunch that morning and it got to his head.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yes.
Let the record show that Paddy is showing us his brilliant yes heart love sexy tattoo and agreeing that Prince was off on a bit of a Captain Crunch sugar rush on this one.
And on that note,
Yep.
we go on to.
Yes.
That's why I did it.
Oh, is that why you were doing that? I see.
Oh God, come on.
Oh my God, I am so sorry.
I got it, Paddy.
I clearly have not had my plus sign today.
Thank you. Oh, you saved it there. You pulled it
Oh my
straight
God.
out of the Josie thing.
I thank Prince for that one.
This song is brilliant. I love it.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Upbeat. It again, it's a little bit of an in context oddity. But yeah, I really like it. Really like it. Don't know. Oh, I'm seeing some interesting faces here, so this is going to be good.
Go on, Leah.
I think you're going to have to leave the room again, Paddy, for some time.
Oh God, I know. I'm sorry.
I really don't like it.
Yeah. I like it when you don't like stuff, Leah. Because you're such a nice person. And I just like to hear, I like to see the pain on your face as you criticize it.
No, because I always want to like it. You know, I want to be able to rave about it, but I don't know. It feels to me, oh God, this is really bad. It feels like someone's written a song for the first time.
That's great.
I don't know. I don't know why I really dislike it so much. Normally I'm like, oh, it's not my cup of tea, but there's something about this that I just don't like. I think the naivety of like Y-E-S. Like,
are you giving this a Y-E? No.
Exactly. I feel like, do you know what it might be? Like, I did a music course at college, and I feel like that was probably something I wrote on a notepad. Like, that would be a brilliant song idea.
You see, if I was one of those Prince fans, so you did a music course at college, and you think you can criticize a man who's released 39 albums?
Even better, I wrote it on a notepad.
I am closer to Leah than to Paddy on this.
Fair dues.
And I don't think there's many stinkers on this album, but this one's the top contender, and along with Hot Summer. This one, that for me, there is one song called Yes that Prince wrote that I like, and it's not this one. It's the instrumental on the Family album. Yeah. This one sounds cold and unlovable to me, and naive, and I think you've nailed it, Leah, with that. It sounds like it sounds like a music student's attempt to do something for a show. I don't like it. Don't hate it, but I think I might almost hate it.
I think it sounds like
no pressure, Shopes.
Okay, for me, it sounds like Graham Central Station wrote a song for the tweenies. Right? Could you imagine like the tweenies, or like some sort of kids program, and it like Graham Central Station like thumping away in the background, and produced by 2010 era Prince, like on
and
the sense.
Yeah, it sounds like a breakfast cereal advert. That's just because I was talking about Captain Crunch.
But I will say this: I wish this was on 2010 instead of Tonight I Love Everyone and Everyone Loves Me. I think this is like a better song in that vein. It's just this weird vein, and No More Candy for You, and there's like these songs that just appeared. I think it was because Prince was going on about like all funk is in minor key, so we have to make funk major key to be different, and that's a great thing. But sometimes you end up with this.
Well, so you know
No
what?
More Candy for You and Tonight I Love Everyone and Everyone Loves Me. And
Whereas back in the day, you ended up with Pop Life Hello.
Well, I just think this is a particular musical branch that kind of grew in the in the 2010s and didn't grow for very long.
And it grew cold and unlovable.
It's three, from what we know, it's 3 songs long.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not a single one of those songs are one. I'm very seldom do I say there's Prince songs I don't like. The former, the No More Candy and Tonight I Love Everyone. I mean, yes, I don't dislike. I actually kind of find it quite fun. And I can kind of put that aside. And I think of the 3 songs, this is the better attempt at that style, because it's kind of like I feel like the bit in Woodstock where in Dance to the Music, in Woodstock when they're just ding 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 ding,
yeah.
But it's kind of like if we gotta be so it's kind of like that. And I actually think like on record this is a kind of like I get it, it's an uncomfortable track, but I reckon this would have been a banger live. I actually think this would have been a great way to end. You know how he was
with that anything with that snare bass approach at the beginning.
Yeah,
would work live, definitely.
Yeah, like this would. I'm telling you, if he ended, how he was listening, he was doing the Sylvester cover. Disco Heat, Dance With Me to the Disco Heat at the end of the 2010 shows. If he'd done this show instead in those shows, it would have been great. It would have been a great way to end the show.
I would be happy.
There is a great way of this song.
No, I don't either.
I think there is, but I think on record isn't one of them.
This is the one that's got the descending blues fill from Peach as well, isn't it? That's this song. It's so tired for me.
It's rehash.
I really don't like it.
On the record, no, but I bet you any money it was a banger to play in rehearsal. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like I can imagine playing this would have been so much fun and like the audience would have been jumping around.
I'm with Leah. I can't imagine loving this song. Maybe put some more minors back into it. Talking of positivity, how brilliant to name a track Positivity and then to make it so slippery and minor.
Yeah.
That was where it was at for me. That's where you go to church for me. Not this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I agree.
I know. I know that's.
I can't make you right. It is what it is.
Yeah, you're allowed, Paddy. You're allowed. God bless you. God bless you.
God bless you.
I see it as the best of a bad 3 songs. But
I think one of the things about me and my tastes are I'm very much a fan of thin formulaic popisms in many ways, and I think so, as you said with the college course approach to writing a song, I sort of don't I don't know if it locks with me. I really don't care.
See, if it locks with me, I admire it, and then I like things like Horny Toad because they're so simple and balls out. But
I've had massive arguments with my saxophone player over this. Rod, he sort of hates disco, and I'm like, you fucking love playing. I'm like, it's like you love playing sort of funky music, but you don't like disco because it's too sweet and it's too pop. I think like, you like your funk sort of hard. How can you not like disco? It's
I actually largely don't like disco because it brings it like marries funk music with march music to me, a different metric that takes the funk out of it for me. But anyway, that's
later era disco. Later era disco is different to like early era disco.
There's some really good disco stuff out there. Don't get me wrong, but I know it's a whole world, and it's not my love. I can relate to that. Shall we do this last one then, guys?
Let's do it.
Yep.
What is it?
One day we'll all be free.
Is that just your link here? You're just going to say it?
Yeah, that's it. That's all you. I'm sulking now. So that's all you're getting.
Oh, dear.
That and I couldn't think of anything.
One day
I mean,
we will.
one day we may all be free of that song.
Oh, yes.
Oh dear. It's gone from bad to worse, hasn't it, guys? Sorry.
Andy,
Sorry,
remember
everyone.
earlier when you said you like it when I don't like it because I'm a nice person?
Yeah. I think that yes has corrupted you.
What do we all think of One Day We'll All Be Free then?
I think the opposite of whatever you think.
Oh.
I'm not playing anymore.
Wow, guys.
Oh, no.
Yes has turned into no, obviously.
I think Leah should start with this one.
I love this track.
Yes.
I love it. I think it's a great closer for the album. I think it's perfectly positioned in the context of the rest of the album. And again, it's kind of that gospelly, uplifting feel. I really like it. I don't have a mega opinion on it, like particularly obsessed over it, but I like it.
All right.
Have to say, pretty identical to you actually in this one. Yeah, it fits the last song of this sequence and set vibe, the whole thing. But I wrote a few notes and I'd put unspectacular but pleasant. So again, it kind of goes to the breezy place. Perhaps not quite as strong a chorus as stuff like Same Page, Different Book. But yeah, it's a nice, another solid album track.
Quite like the chorus. It does a few. I think the verses as well. I can't quite remember them, but the chorus is a bit hooky, and it takes a few unexpected note choices. I think. Well, we'll be free. That's nice. That's quite down. That's quite subtle and nice. I'm with everyone on this so far. It's solidly nice. I think it's that I don't know what to say about it. I quite a lot enjoy it.
Indifferent.
Well, I like it a bit more than that, but yeah, I maybe it doesn't. It doesn't.
It feels like this one sums up the album for you a little bit, Andy.
A little bit, maybe. No. Actually, this one, where just to be contrary, no. No, it's a bit more open-ended. It's got a bit more air in it. Actually, it's hard to say after this song's finished what just happened. You can't quite remember the shape of it.
I just know I feel good after it's played.
Oh, that's good.
Like. Again, I'm like, there's no kind of, it's not like Check the Record where, like that hook is like spinning around my brain, or, it's not like, it's not like Same Page, Different Book where the groove is kind of still in me. It's not like where the Welcome to America where the lyrics I'm still thinking of, or 2010 where I'm, 1010, Rinton 10 where I'm still thinking of the lyrics. It's got none of those. But by the time it's finished, it's, like it's taking a gulp full of air or something. It's like, like a marshmallow or something. It's so light, but afterwards I feel really satisfied by it. And I don't know why.
This sounds like a whole different podcast. This sounds very erotic.
Oh.
Going on now.
I find this. I find this track very airy. No.
Very satisfying.
I'm satisfied by this album. No.
I feel completed by this album.
When I've played this album, I want to flip it over.
Because it has a very happy ending. No.
Yeah, this album has a happy. It's got. I agree with everyone in that it's kind of like it just kind of starts, it goes along, and it finishes. But it's like a pleasant stroll down a summer street. Like it's kind of featureless. It's just a nice experience. And you feel better for it.
You know what? It's got some nice colours to it musically that remind me of Circle of Amour, actually.
Yeah, it's all strolling, like, where it's just kind of like starts and
Whoa,
bounces.
that's a big step. Strolling is a banger.
Yeah,
I love strolling.
No,
actually, maybe not strolling, because that guitar solo alone is great.
This has got that easy. Yeah, it's got that easy breezy laid back feel of Circle of Amour, though I think Circle of Amour tramples it.
Well, Circle of Amour has got a really noticeable narrative, right?
And a really strong melody, actually.
Yeah, and Strolling has some class guitar work, but like this
doesn't take your ear in the way that either of those songs do.
No, but this is this is a guy, this is a guy approaching his 60s, kind of just having the relaxation of achieving everything he's achieved, kind of just not having anything to prove, just playing. And there's something.
Are you saying this is like Prince after a good bowel movement or something?
Just something. Well, I don't think he ate enough to have one of those. But like, yeah, I just feel really light and good after it. I don't know if it's because it's that song or because of the whole album has made me feel that way, because I actually haven't been skipping tracks. If I've been putting it on, I've been putting it on start to finish, like commute to work, or just like having a walk. So I don't know if I feel the satisfaction of listening to a whole new Prince album after, or if it's just this song gives me that feeling. But I know I felt other things during the play, but I feel better for that song, but I can't tell you why. It's a really strange one.
Fair enough.
It's a logical puzzle piece at the end. I think it's it's like I can't remember who it was, Beethoven and Mozart running downstairs to play the augmented chord at the end to finalize the sequence or what have you. Yeah. It sort of has that thing. Right, so we've been through the tracks.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of questions. Oh, have I cut Anna on? Has everybody had their say, or have I cut anybody off?
I know that was we've all had all tracks.
A little bit of a hypothetical here. So it had, we'll say 2010, not been given away on the Daily Mail, and this had been released at the time, obviously with him being around as a commercial album and everything that entails, and then he would toured insofar as he was touring the greatest hits and he'd play 3 or 4 or 5 of these songs live. How do you think it would have done, and how do you think it would have been perceived at the time in a pre-Trump era, pre-Floyd event? How do you think it would have landed and been thought about as an album, as part of his work?
If it was just a standard release and not with the not as the cover mount, I think it would have just flown completely under the radar, and I don't think it would have given half the attention, just because he was around and it hasn't got the poignance of being the first unreleased work from someone. Yeah. Also, in some ways, yeah, I mean, it wasn't, it wouldn't have been presented as part of the zeitgeist at the time. This is like like, I don't know how to express it. It wasn't quite as fraught an era in my mind, anyway.
I think
it would have been received quite similar to the Rainbow Children, in that people would have heard Prince talking about a lot of stuff that they would think is irrelevant to them at that point in time. And I think it wouldn't have been promoted the same way. So now it's very much being talked about as political commentary and someone ahead of his time, someone who, almost like it was destined to be in the vault until now. It was waiting for its moment. It wouldn't have had the same hype.
I think the key word is promotion and hype there, because, it's not that political. It's not that insightful. It's not, it marries up to some stuff, but it doesn't. It's not like, oh my God, a blast from 11 years ago. Prince had this absolute,
Prince saw the future and it will be.
Yeah. It wasn't. It's not a magic bullet that goes right to the heart of anything.
I got that, Leah. Don't worry.
Thanks.
She finally got to talk about Batman.
Yay! I think if it had come out at the time, as Chopin says, it would have just been at that point in Prince's career. Mostly, it was he was a big cult artist at that point. Everyone knew who he was, but only a few people, relatively speaking, bought every Prince album and listened to it. The music press would have said, another competent yet unremarkable album from Prince, and that's all that would have happened.
All of the reviews would have said Prince's comeback. That's what they would have all said, because the general public was generally unaware that he was still making music. Everyone was boring, but
I don't think they would have even said that. I think it would have just been another album from Prince. Yeah. When's he going to really thrill us again? But yeah, it plays differently now. I don't buy that it's this isn't a sign of the times for 2021 or anything of the sort. But it's certainly there's a lot. Sorry,
when you hear those things as a fan, do you ever expect them? I mean,
no, not at all. To
be quite honest, I think if you're a fan, you pretty much know what was being created around that time, or the style of stuff. I mean, there's no great surprises, but I guess the surprise is just that he really did have that much amount, and for me, I think it is that amount of quality work. I think you can still at least say that. Maybe it's not genius, but he still had that much quality work to just pick from. Is just,
there's so much to think, even on like what I have been describing quite consistently as somewhat pedestrian or middle of the road by Prince's standards. It still opens up so many new thoughts and ways of thinking about his oeuvre. He's just absolutely, I cannot get this man out of my head. I never will. This is always interesting to me. And there's a lot to talk about on this album, as there really is with anything when you get down to it.
Yeah.
Well, from Prince's canon.
I'm glad this has been released. Am I instantly in love with every track and think it's the next replacement for Sign of the Times or whatever? No, but I wasn't expecting it, and what I was expecting was an interesting, competent album of just stuff and that I got exactly what I wanted, and I got a couple of bangers. I got some tracks that I'd never heard before. I got some tracks that I did hear before, and I got them in good quality. So that kind of completes the thing for me, that of all of that kind of, there is like literally flotsam and jetsam across his internet releases of really great tracks that just have no home. And this is kind of part of the just streaming his albums, and like even in terms of kind of streaming, his legacy still isn't solidified, because there's this entire world of music that just isn't available. And this brings two of those tracks, Hot Summer and Same Page Different Book, back in and contextualizes them, and in a way that I didn't even appreciate, because I hadn't heard them in the context of, I would never have even put them on the same album. Like, I knew both songs existed. I would never have thought that they came from the same era or the same album. This does a great job of contextualizing his creativity, what was going on, how things worked around that time. And that's everything that a posthumous or a vault track can do. That's, you're not trying to tell people like show the next big work. What you're trying to do is put the life's work in context, and like the deluxe editions, this does that quite beautifully, I think.
I got to say, that was a really good speech, Chopin. I may play that to myself over and over when I need. That was, no, I'm not even kidding. That was absolutely perfectly put.
I think for me, I almost feel cheeky critiquing any of it, because I'm like, we weren't meant to hear it. He didn't put it out. So we're critiquing something he never put out for us to critique. It's like someone judging your tea making for a cuppa you made for yourself.
I'd love to know the truth of the intent, as we all would, and it's a massive question. There was a clip where Shelby was talking to some reporter, and she made an offhand comment, which I felt was probably more salient because it was an offhand comment the way she said it. But she said, oh no, Prince just said, all that stuff's in the vault and somebody's going to hear it someday. And it wasn't somebody's going to hear it someday because I'm going to be releasing it. It was somebody's going to hear it someday because someday I'm not going to be here. Was definitely the context of that statement, the way I heard it said. So
Morris,
I wouldn't feel too bad about it in a sense.
Yeah, Morris Hayes said a very similar thing on a live he did on Instagram, saying that, I don't know at which point in Prince's career this was said to Morris, but he said that Prince, when talking about the vault, he said, oh, the vault's for my kids. That's what I leave my kids. That's their business. Yeah. And that was kind of a comment that he made to Morris.
Yeah.
So again, it's talking about, well, that's in someone else's hands, or it will be seen, it will be released. That's their money. They're like, so it, and there's been interviews where he's mentioned it himself, where he's gone, oh, it'll be released by someone at some point.
I mean, I just can't. If there's a Prince fan out there who has literally not wanted to listen to anything posthumously released, then fair play to them. You don't have to listen to any of this.
Absolutely.
I will never do anything other than listen to as much Prince as I can get from whatever source, and always want more. That's me. I don't know how to go on from there.
Well, my last thing for this is, and I find myself against the tide a little bit here as well. So that question that I asked, I was curious to see what people thought. For a bunch of, again, counterintuitive reasons for me, I think this might have sold and gone down a little bit better than we could have thought. There is something about, and it's almost, and it's almost because there is sort of a slightly safe blandness about it in the context of there's nothing too challenging. It sits as a sequence. If I go back to 2010, a lot of the stuff that was in the charts, I don't know, I hate to generalize in a way, but sort of general R&B radio play, what you might put on in the car. The thing that it probably would have lacked to kick people over the edge to actually start buying it would be one killer single. And there isn't a killer single on it. But had it been cleverly marketed and say the 3 best songs, whatever they may be, went out, I think this could have been a fairly strong selling album that the non-hard Prince community could have bought in big numbers over a reasonable period of time. I think it would have gathered like a Rolling Stone gathering a bit of moss. I really do. I really
imagine Born to Die on Magic FM.
Like a
kind of thing.
Yeah. Like a classy elder statesman release.
Yeah, that has, sort of thing. I think that's been my angle with it as I've come to like it.
That's interesting. I think that makes it feel a bit more like what musicology managed to achieve by hook or by crook.
The album that I would hold closest to this is musicology. Yeah. Because musicology holds a really weird place for me, because I don't think that is a mega strong album. It has a particularly kick-ass song on it. And again, it's like anything else. I'm like you, Andy. I want to listen to everything, and there's nothing I don't.
Is that your way of hinting that you want to do musicology next on this?
Oh, come on. We've got a bloody million things queued up. Let's just do one a month and have done and get through them is what I want to do. But again,
by the way, what is your killer song on musicology? Is it musicology?
It is musicology.
Yeah. It's a great song, isn't it?
Absolutely banging.
Great song.
But very interesting. But I think this would have been a slow building, easy access for the general public, commercial success.
You make a good point, and I will say that some of the things I don't like about it play into that. Like for me, it's very polite and restrained by Prince's standards. But you're right; it could have got people comfortable with Prince.
I think so, and I think whilst a lot of what is said for me is a bit ham-fisted, again, my opinion, the way that the political or hyperbole headline stuff is sort of a little bit, and I do prefer the insinuation and the slyness and the slightly more wit attached to some of his nuanced stuff in the past. But I just think that there's no that kind of stuff would still chime with people. It's another thing that I think would probably, in the context of the music as well, would have probably been accepted a little bit. Would have been accepted quite easily and would have helped to sell it rather than stopped it selling in the context of the whole. So yeah, a fascinating release this for me. And what I was not looking forward to right at the beginning when they announced what it was. I was probably sat there going, "Oh, I wish they'd have done something a bit different, but we'll see what it's like." And and then I end up buying vinyl I'll never play for the sake of a nice presentation and the Blu-ray. And I've sat.
We can do the Blu-ray separately because I don't think we're
my daughter came round today, and she watched Chopin's video with me, and she wanted to have a look at it, and she was looking. I thought, well, my daughter's quite like Prince.
Is this the pole dancing video that we were alluding to earlier, or a different one?
No, the unwrapping definitely. But
that is
Molly came in and said, "Oh, can I?" She said, "Can I have a look?" She opened it all up, took everything out, had a look, was asking questions.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was just like, yeah. And it has something to do with that. I don't know, something to do with that as a whole.
Do you know what? One last thought on that, right? Which just occurred to me out of the blue. That they included a ticket stub and a set list. I wonder if that had anything to do with the last year and a half we've all been through, where it was like we want to just
a lovely thought.
But no, it's quite a clever thought, like just giving people a connection with that world again. Because and also what made me think about it is how much you emoted off that set list when you opened the box show.
You did as well, yeah.
I was shocked because I knew that was in there, and I wasn't expecting to feel anything from it. But once I opened it up and saw it, it was like literally like you see in the movies, like the like wavy lines, and then all of a sudden, and and you were there, like at the end of Whistle of the Stars. Like, and to be quite honest, I had thoughts of all of you, all of you at different gigs, and it was like.
Oh, this is ended. It started off as a scrap and it's ended as a cuddle fest. Why?
Let's just see live with you guys again. I want to go to parties.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Well, the Blu-ray was a little bit of a thing, I suppose. Granted, the whole other thing about packaging, what have you, and how much it costs. But
solo.
the Blu-ray, all of that was so nice to see, and I think like. It was relevant because it was the name of the tour and the name of the album and all that kind of thing. But it's funny watching it. The thing that struck me was how sort of happy he looked, and just.
Let me give you one last thought on that. Right, if they really want to build up Prince and keep that legacy going, why the hell not? Because these things aren't expensive, really, when you're doing them en masse. Why not bring out a CD and Blu-ray for 16 quid and get people to hear get people who don't know Prince to hear that album, to watch him doing a bunch of his old and diverse stuff live, and to go, oh my God, I want to go and explore this catalogue now.
Yeah.
You know what I'd love for them to do as well? Because of the year we've not had an opportunity to do it, but like with Musicology, with the concert cinema streams. And I know they've done the same with Bowie. Can you imagine if, like, with this Blu-ray release, if they'd have said, for one night only, all around the world, you can buy tickets to go to the cinema and watch this.
Go and see this guy that you've heard about, that is never out of the public imagination quite.
Well, Prince did that with the Musicology tour.
Exactly.
That is something that he's actually done himself.
Because
he did a live cast. So I think that's perfect. I think more so than CDs and Blu-rays, which is actually, if we're talking about young generation, they're streaming everything. They're not buying that stuff.
True.
But you know what? If you get them into streaming the albums, which is one revenue source, what they do buy is T-shirts. Do you know what I mean? You walk down, they'll wear T-shirts of people. People they're not even into.
I think I'm saying just get them expose them to print. Don't make things like the DVD the province of £150 sets.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that there's stuff that are literally for £150 sets. I think I would gladly, if the Diamonds and Pearls when it
say it out loud, you'll do it.
Super Deluxe Edition, if they included just a full, one of those sound checks to the tours, like where they're checking the cameras and everything, and just the new MPG jamming. Like there are some bootlegs of that, and actually that's as good as the show of just watching Prince like lead his band through rehearsals for probably songs that get recorded on the next album. But that's the stuff that that's stuff that I would pay.
We'd all pay for that stuff.
Exactly.
I remember being stood outside the Manchester small club shows, like the two Manchester shows, and we could hear him sound checking from outside in the queues. And you had the ticket queue and the non-ticket queue, and I was walking between them both because I did have a ticket, but I was bouncing, got the Sharpie out, I had my number on, I could move around. And I remember going to the non-ticket queue, and it was right by kind of the other wall from the stage, and everyone was just having a meltdown going, you can hear him. And people were listening harder than they were in the actual show, because it's like, we're not meant to hear this. It's brilliant. This is the stuff we shouldn't hear.
I remember the first night of the 21 Nights in London. It was me and Gareth. We couldn't wait for the show. We would just had to be at the O2, like because it was the first of this big summer that we were going to have of Prince, and big summer. But we found a spot where we could hear. There was just the two of us sitting there by a door where we could hear the band playing Planet Earth, and he'd never played it live before. This was the first time and we were just sat there listening to this live rendition of Planet Earth that no one had ever heard live before, and we were just sat there like, this alone is amazing, let alone going to the actual show itself. There's the kind of bonding thing around there's some special moments around that kind of stuff. Sound checks.
It's like I said on the Batman thing, turned up at my first tour was the new tour, and I heard him echoing through the wall. First of all, I heard the When Doves Cry loop, and then heard his voice, and I was like, religious experience, whoa. Yeah, no, I can completely relate to that. Completely.
Same.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've been talking about this quite a while now, and I think we've covered the album and some quite emotional stuff that it makes us feel. Like a new Prince release. It gives. I don't know about you guys, but it gives me an exciting feeling, but a different kind of exciting feeling. It's a kind of.
When Prince brought out an album when he was alive, I couldn't wait for the future. I was always thinking about the tour that's coming. What else comes from this? Whereas now I hear the album and I think about the past and all the things it reminds me of and all of the memories and feelings that it emotes now.
Yeah. And it's interesting to have that change in focus on an artist, but I'm still here for it because it's just like waiting for the next thing is just as interesting as looking back. But I've loved the experience of listening to this album and listening to something new, especially something, just proof in the pudding that he could create an album and just go, yeah. Like,
definitely.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you for coming on for this one, and I've loved this chat, and I've loved like experiencing a new album with you all. Like something none of us have really kind of discussed face to face before now. So that's been a really interesting take, and I'll see you again for the next one, whichever one we'll decide.